see it, mate?
Good and clearly not so good. We thought the first half by us was a tremendous response from what happened last week. So really pleased with the first half. Thought the last quarter was a bit of a mixed bag, and I think we're going to get some of that when we are encouraging young guys, like Dean Chillick, for example, who I thought was, in his second game, was really good. We're encouraging him to stay bold and stay confident, and sometimes you make errors. So I thought first half was a terrific response in terms of, no one likes to be down, but we were close enough on the scoreboard. Uncontested possession was pretty good. We certainly had our own in contested possession, and then third quarter, clearly, not good enough. But I think we showed today that there's certainly enough to keep forging on and working hard and driving these boys as hard as we possibly can. I think they showed that today. Third quarter, not good enough. We're not going to shy away from that, but let's keep driving. Let's keep getting there. So in that quarter, you can throw any number at me as you like, but where we're at, if we drop off in intensity in the quarter, the opposition will score. So that's how I saw it.
You view it as almost like where in the first fortnight, I suppose you had 8 quarters that weren't acceptable. You've got it down to, I guess, 1 quarter that was unacceptable.
Yeah, that's right. So that's what I mean by let's keep. There's enough there, clearly enough there. So let's keep driving. Let's see if we can go a little bit further next week, and go from there.
I suppose it falls away so quickly though, doesn't it? I mean, you lose control. It was probably 15 minutes.
Yeah, it was, and again dealing with a developmental side, if you like, with a few of the older lads thrown in. We tried 1 behind the ball, we tried 2 behind the ball, we tried to get it and keep it. We tried squashing the forwards up, and that's great. That looks really good on a computer screen and really good ideas floating around. But if you lose the ball and you just can't get it, we just the Eagles had us under a whole heap of heat in that third quarter, and they're a top 4 side, and that's what they're going to do to you. So we need to get better and be able to stand up in that area. But there was we as a group, I know this is difficult, but certainly at half time we're really proud of the fight that the boys showed from last week, which was a complete train wreck.
What did you say to three-quarter time to try to get them back on track?
I just reiterated what we'd spoken about before the game, and that was it. And we talked about all week getting ourselves in a position to be able to compete, and we lost that in the third quarter. So three-quarter time was again just not rearranging, but getting back to where we were and explaining to the boys, right, we had you playing this role and in this manner because we want to get you to compete. So in the last quarter, it's really important that we go back to that and go from there. And I thought, like I said before, a bit of a mixed bag in the last quarter. Some good, some a little bit sloppy, and there are a few tired loads. But I thought they fought it out.
I was asked, what did you say to them after the game? It'd be easy with 4 points to obviously savage aside, but if you move to perhaps, create a bit more positive sort of reinforcement and not pick the players up and encourage rather than be sort of pour us.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think I'll just pick you up in a little bit. I haven't moved towards it. I've never been one to come in and yell and rant and rave, and that'll be, to me, that's I suppose that's my choice, but I think that would be a disaster when you're dealing with a side that you're trying to rebuild the footy club. Can you remember anything I said?
Yeah, I was just reinforcing reinforcing the message that first half was acceptable. That's Melbourne footy. That's how we want to play. We want to be bold. We want to take it on. We win first possession. We win contested possession. You see a few boys that come in and get their opportunity and really show that I think they belong. Guys like Michael Evans, Matt Jones in only his 3rd game. These names are pretty inexperienced, but they really led the charge in that first half. So obviously, as Neeld said, that third quarter is not acceptable, but we're going to continue to push and continue to fight, because what we showed in that first half is the footy that we want to play, and we need a consistent 4-quarter effort. And until we get that, we're going to continue to forge ahead, and the wheel will turn.
Mark, prior to the game, you said you measure any growth and improvement based on some internal measurements and things like that. From what you're saying, it sounds like you are, those sort of internal measurements have improved this week on last week.
Absolutely, and when we're going through what we're going through, as Nathan just said, so we broke down first quarter, second quarter, fourth quarter, and had a look at those indicators, and I just put them up on the board, and lads, what do you think? And they said, well, that looks competitive, and so I said, well, those numbers translated into what those quarters look like, and then I've got to point out that part of the development is to understand when we dish up things that are unacceptable. We've got to go through that as well. So we also had the comparison of the third quarter.
What happened with Jack Watts before the game? Was there an injury concern with him that he didn't play in the VFL, or was there someone in doubt in the 22 that ran out today?
No injury concern with Jack. It's always an awkward one when you're VFL. So we're in as you know, affiliate with Casey when they play at the same time. And we always have discussions about how many carryover players, which ones, those types of things. And it's always, you've got to try and get the balance right, and that's a word that footy clubs will use the whole time. You've got to get the balance right between what's the individual need, the team need, the club need. Yeah, we certainly had one of our taller types was under an injury cloud, and he needed to be able to have a run around this morning and then try and get through the warm-up. It would have been disastrous for the football club had that player not got through the warm-up and Jack Watts was in Ballarat. And that's the decision that we made. And we feel that missing one VFL game for Jack Watts is not going to be a massive issue. He's done all the training, he's played a number of games. So clubs make those decisions with their VFL affiliates all the time. We've got another one next week. We play on the Sunday and the Casey lads run around on the Saturday. So it will happen again, but you just need to balance and make sure it doesn't have the same players all the time.
Mark, I think you said pre-game that you would like to have got some VFL into Jack Watts today. Does that sort of seem to indicate that he might miss again next week and maybe get some touch with VFL next week?
No, I answered the question and it was quite good. Both Mike Sheehan and Matthew Richardson said, Mark, it must have been, it would have been good for Jack to play a game, and they're right, but it was just, circumstantial that we had to deal with. And like I said, we haven't sat down for match committee, but the fact that David Roden was in the same boat and Jake Spencer, because we weren't sure on Mark Jamar, those lads are in the same boat. But because we look at each one as an individual, we thought they'd all done enough training, played enough games. Won't have any impact on them, but they're certainly still up for selection for next round.
Do you feel you're coming back up? It's just the darkest part's over. It's as God as dark as it's going to get after today.
When we arrived at the footy club, it was certainly under the instruction to rebuild the entire football club from the ground up, and we're still in that mode. It's going to be a roller coaster ride at times, and and history shows when you're dealing with a young group and you're rebuilding an organisation, that's what it looks like. I suppose the next part you might want to ask me, did I realise it was going to be this difficult? No, I didn't, but I don't think anyone did. But I tell you what, this week at our football club, I reckon we learned so much about each other, and some of the things we went through. Again, I was asked by the 3AW lads, was it the worst week of your life? And I tried to explain to them that it was actually an amazing week. Craig and I Monday night, and we met 10 volunteers that arrived at our footy club who told us that they didn't have any money to spare and they couldn't tip in any money to help us pay back whatever financial things was written in the paper that day. But what they gave us was 3 hours of their time, and they got on the phone and they rang up some members that hadn't renewed from the previous year and pleaded with them. They got 30 people to sign up. That was Monday. These lads decided it might have been a good idea to get away to Sorrento, and when you're 0-2, someone decides, well, you shouldn't have gone to Sorrento, why didn't you go to Torquay? But that's another thing. I sat around and saw some young leaders like Nathan and Jack and conduct some serious chatter and some serious discussions, and that was wonderful to be a part with. And that the coaching group have all been at various other clubs and they've been strong. And some of the things that I heard coming out of these guys' mouths with the respect given to teammates and the club and where they want to go to, that just that certainly reinforced my belief in these guys. And yesterday at training, my hat goes out to the 400. My hat goes off to the 400 Melbourne supporters that turned up. And I must admit, had a bit of a flutter in the heart when I walked out with Craig and saw a lot of people there. I said, "Oh wow, there's two ways this is going to go, isn't it?" and so I heard him singing the club theme song, and I know it's a little win, it's a tiny little thing, but we were really proud of the response that our players gave in the first half, and we're driving forward, and that's where it is. There'll be ups and downs. That's where it's at.
Context as well, just hearing that sort of genuine roar and that enthusiasm for the side, and 18,000 people turning up after the last week as well. That must have given you a lot of heart as well.
Oh, absolutely. Supporters. We're finding out now that we might not be able to compare with some of the big clubs in terms of volume and pure number of supporters, but the ones we've got, I reckon they understand what the word support means, and they're digging deep, and things frustrate and upset, and we get all that, but. I shared some of the emails, not all of them, because we would have spent 4 or 5 days going through them all. But they're probably 3 to 4. 75% positive. Stick at it. Stick at it. We know where you're at. We know you've started again. Let's go. So it was a life experience, but a positive one for the footy club this week.
There were boos again at 3/4 time, and I guess that was inevitable. But the fans at full time as you were walking off seemed a bit more supportive, like they seemed to be acknowledging that there was signs there today. Did you get a sense of that?
Yeah, no doubt, and just reinforce what Neeld said, the support we got during the week as a playing group probably felt a little bit isolated, particularly after last week and such a really poor effort by us. Pretty dark time, particularly for a player to lose by 25 goals, but like Neeld said, I'm really proud of the group to bounce back, and proud of the support yesterday. The footy club showed, and again off the ground the message was just to continue to fight, and I think as a playing group we took a lot of heart out of the first half. Obviously the third quarter was unacceptable, but and there was signs in the fourth quarter. We just need to continue to push forward and put a four-quarter effort in.
It's a really unique scenario to lose down by 94 points, but the positive movement afterwards. Is the scoreboard irrelevant at times for you now in your rebuild?
Absolutely. And the scoreboard's the last thing that changes. And I said before about the supporters, and the 75 or whatever it is, they get it, they understand. We can't run out and stare at the scoreboard. You mentioned before about those internal measures, and they stacked up for 2.5 quarters, so magically the scoreboard does. And that's hard because fans want to look at the scoreboard. We get all that, but development, redevelopment or rebuild or whatever the correct political terminology is these days, it cannot be measured on short-term wins. Where we know we're in for a short-term roller coaster, we get all that, and that's the decisions that have been made. That we were going to start again, and we have. But we've, Jonesy pointed out some of his already the players out of last year's draft, like a Turlick and like a Matt Jones and like a Jack Viney, and I think Jesse Hogan, playing as an underage player, and Ed Casey's kicked 4 goals today. Those guys are starting to, will be good in time. Absolutely no question. And I know Jimmy Toumpas hasn't, he's busting his backside every time he goes out on the field. He might need a bit of a breather, young Jimmy. But so the boys in the recruiting department, we realised with 14 new guys into the club, we couldn't got 14 18-year-olds or 14 superstars in one whack. But already those guys of last year's draft are starting to have an impact, which I think is really important.
Before the game, Neil also mentioned that you guys tend to back off just a little bit with your coaching and that this week. Can you elaborate on that a little bit further? And did that sort of help towards that first half as well?
I don't know, I might have to catch up with him as to what he meant by that, but I'll tell you what, Friday afternoon when I was sitting in the footy club, I hadn't felt like I'd backed off. I was looking for a snooze, and I went home in a power nap and got sorted again for last night's footy. We just along the lines of backing the players in, and we're still in a position where Jonesy said last week as a player what he felt like. When I walked through the doors last week, he was the first one that I saw, oh wow, we're responsible for the care of these lads, and I know that Nathan spoke about what it felt like for a player. In my position, I walked through and I saw Nathan first, and he couldn't speak, and I then went to Grimesy, and Grimesy's in tears, and oh wow, so we really, there's times where even in development point of view, you got to put your arm around them and look after them. We care for our lads, and I think we just sort of backed them in the first half, and third quarter clearly we didn't get it, but that's where it's at.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
No worries, thank you.